Bon dia a tothom, buenos días, good morning to everyone. Començo en català, després una mica en anglès i una mica... Més fort? De totes maneres faré servir les tres llengües així com pugui. És una responsabilitat estar aquí la primera que modera una taula, espero estar a l'alçada. Abans que res, moltes gràcies a l'organització per haver-nos convidat en aquesta sessió. Gràcies al Jaume, gràcies a l'Estefan, gràcies al David, gràcies a la Rosa, gràcies a tots els que esteu darrere d'aquest gran esdeveniment. Començaré una mica per presentar-me molt breument i presentar el grup de recerca on estem vinculats a la Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona, el qual dirigeix el doctor Martí Boada, i després donaré pas als ponents perquè vagin començant les seves intervencions. Just for beginning, I have a PhD in Environmental Sciences and I am currently a researcher in the Institute of Environmental Sciences and Technology of the Autonomous University of Barcelona, and I am also an associated professor in the Geography Department at the same university. Jointly with Professor Martí Boada, we are leading the Conservation, Biodiversity and Global Change Research Group that aims to analyze the interface between the humans and nature by fostering integrated research drawn towards contributing in different spheres of the society, integrating knowledge transferability and scientific dissemination as transversal access. Our main research areas are more or less applied research in natural protected areas, socio-ecological indicators monitoring in fluvial systems, forest as socio-ecological systems, as Martí Boada pointed out, urban ecosystems and environmental quality, and at last but not the least, we have developed an environment and human health laboratory in our research group. Since 2018, we have developed what we call the EH2 Lab, with the aim to promote applied research on the potential effects of the natural environment in human health. This laboratory is integrated by a multidisciplinary research team and aims to bring out scientific knowledge to contribute in describing these links between nature and people's health. This laboratory, this EH2 Lab, developed studies in four main research areas. The first one is cities and green spaces. That means that we try to assess the relevance of the quality of green spaces and their heterogeneity regarding human health and well-being. Our second research line is more focused on natural protected areas, and in this sense we try to analyze the potential health benefits of natural experiences in natural protected areas. The third one is focused on biogeography. With this area we try to characterize the relationship between land use and land cover areas and human health through a mathematical model of complex systems. And our last, and maybe more important for this Congress, is the line that is focused on forest. In this area, we try to evaluate the potential effects of forest in human health through a transversal approach in order to describe the basic interactions between several elements and forest features, such as chemistry, macrobiology, physiology response, and human psychology. This is more or less a general overview of our research group in the Autonomous University of Barcelona. And now it's time for the speakers that we will have the opportunity to listen for this session. This module is called Research Update on Forest and its Potential for Health. For this session, we will have the opportunity to listen our four guest speakers coming from different disciplines, coming from different countries, and coming from different backgrounds. And just for beginning, I would like to introduce our first speaker. She is Karin Kraft. She's a professor and a medical doctor of the Department of Complementary Medicine of the University of Rostock in Germany. And her speech will be Cure and Healing Forest, Translation of Scientific Knowledge into Practice. So, Karin.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You will have 15 minutes for your presentation,
Yes.
and I think that it's better that you go
stay
there.
over there.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and it's your turn.
Hello.
Maybe, yes, the rest of the speakers can come with me. Yes. While we wait we have Gisela from the Public Health and Health Service Research from Germany. Welcome. Tendremos también la oportunidad de escuchar al doctor Domingo Sánchez Napic del Forest Research Unit, Agri-Food Research and Technology Center of Aragon. Bienvenido. I per últim, faig servir les llengües amb qui em dirigiré cada vegada amb els ponents. Tenim l'Albert Bach, ell és part d'aquest laboratori que explicava a l'inici, del Laboratori d'Environment and Human Health de l'Institut de Ciència i Tecnologia Ambiental de la Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona. Albert, benvingut.
So, thank you for the kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with my lecture. So, I give you the agenda. We have 4 points. At first, I give you an introduction and definitions. What are healing forests and cure forests? So, why are we doing what we're doing just now in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern? The interest in forest therapy is growing worldwide. We all know that. However, in Germany at least, we have a tendency to reduce the enormous health potential of forests to a surface level form of forest bathing. And therefore, we do a scientific, systematic approach and started this in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, a German province, in the year 2013. And we developed criteria for the structure of healing and cure forests for the preferential treatment of chronically ill patients. This is important. We want also the chronically ill patients in the forests. So I give you the definitions. We have worked in the first International Congress on Forests and its Potential for Health in Germany 2017. What is a healing forest? Healing forests are forest regions which are landscaped for the therapeutic use of patients with specific indications. This is important, specific indications. Cure forests are forest regions which are predestined due to various characteristics to unfold a health-promoting widespread effect. So that's the difference. And there's something very important in Germany and especially in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. We don't make a certification as a healing or a cure forest, but this is an eviction. The eviction of a forest as a cure or a healing forest is based on the forest law of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern and is based on the fulfillment of several criteria I'll show you in the next slides. And meanwhile, more than 10 communities in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern have applied for the eviction of a healing or cure forest. Now let me show the criteria. There are several ones. At first, the biometeorological elements. This all has to be analyzed before such an eviction can be done. There's a special internal climate of a forest. The crowns delimit the internal forest from the atmosphere, result in protection against high intensity of radiation, balance of temperature, and the temperature is cooler in the forest in summer and warmer during winter, especially if you have got coniferous forests. Then there's a high air quality. It's a clean air due filtering of anthropogenic and natural occurring contaminants and the production of oxygen by photosynthesis. And in the microclimate near the seas, we have got in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern a lake. Additionally, windbreak and high humidity are important. Then we have some active factors. the structure of the area is important. There may be differences in altitude for training for patients, for example, or there's the presence of landmarks for concentrating patients' attention. Then there are psychological active factors. There is a sort of relaxed attention, which is due to the self-similar environment. Looking, for example, at leaves, they are always self-similar. It's something relaxing. This is psychological, very interesting. Then the direction of the attention. You have to have a sort of attention for the forest track, for the sounds, and so on. You cannot listen to your handy, for example, because then you may drop. Then there's relaxed focusing, a special sort of focusing. We have physically active factors, and this is a training of the various physically important factors in human life. You see from orientation over balance, over skeletal muscles, of course, and cardiovascular system, and the vegetative nervous system to immune function and intestinal function as well. You may know that. Then there are sensory active factors. This is a soothing, relaxing, regenerative effect. And it's a dulled light, a particularly green light, which is somehow relaxing. It's a forest odor, which is a compound. It comes from very different components, and then it's the usually very low noise level and stochastic natural sounds. This all makes the foundation of a healing or cure forest a special criteria. Then we have further criteria which are not scientifically based, but they are sometimes very important. The neighborhood, for example. You have to have an accessibility, of course, if you have patients. And then we have the privilege in Germany that we have a lot of rehabilitation clinics in our future healing forests or health resorts. There are strains in Germany. There's nature protection law for the functions of the forests, and I can tell you some further protection laws, especially at the coast, which have to be considered. Now we go to the indications. Depending on the aforementioned criteria, we have general indications for healing and cure forests. Stress reduction, increase of physical activity, which is important to patients who are chronically ill, improve respiratory function, to improve mood, especially mild anxiety and depression, which you may know is very often in the population now, and to accelerate healing processes. This is something which is not scientifically proven so far, but empirically important. There are some studies already to some subjects, and the studies are very heterogeneous. So we need some more criteria to perform studies on the subjects. Well, what about the specific indications which are applied for healing forests especially, and also in the lower stages of the diseases for the cure forests? All sorts of psychosomatic and mental diseases, respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, orthopedic diseases, immunological diseases, cancer of all stages, neurological diseases, visual problems, multimorbid and geriatric patients, and we'll have a lecture also on children diseases, pediatric diseases. And the healing forests in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, they are especially equipped for these patients with higher stages of these indications. We have performed one study on COPD in an evicted healing forest, which had give us very nice results, and therefore we plan some more studies on some other indications. Now, the last point is the establishing of a forest therapy course, which was integrated in this program I've shown to you. We need specifically trained forest therapists. Why? The chronically ill patients only can profit from the complete potential of healing and cure forests if they are guided by qualified therapists who know what diseases their patients have, and they have to be experts on these diseases. Then there's a second point, usually is forgotten, but if you want to do clinical studies of high quality, you can only perform it together with well-educated forest therapists. They know what scientific work is. And therefore, we developed an advanced training course for pre-qualified persons such as physiotherapists under the lead management of the Schutzgemeinschaft Deutscher Wald Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, and in cooperation with the University of Rostock and the Universitätsmedizin Rostock. We started the first course in March this year, and it will last until April next year, 5 modules, each module 2 to 3 months, and each module consists of 80 to 160 hours. Most of this is self-study, and there's also a local seminar, and of course a final examination. And then you are a medical forest therapist. The first module is basics of forest therapy. Second module, forest ecosystem. You know, the physiotherapists may not know so much about forest ecosystem. Third module, didactics and methodology of forest therapy. And then comes the practical works with clients, and the fifth module is a project thesis to get the examination. And we now have 23 participants. They are highly motivated. They work in the rehabilitation clinics nearby, and in the future, healing and cure forests which are to come. Thank you very much for your attention.